welcome back to the video. In this video, we're doing a tier list of all of the characters in Marvel's newest movie, The Eternals. Personally, I really did love The Eternals. If you haven't already checked out my spoiler review, breakdown, and post-credit scene explaining videos, make sure to do so. They'll be linked in the description down below. Also, there will be spoilers for Marvel's Eternals in this video, so if you haven't already seen the movie, pause this video, go watch it, and then come back and finish this. So, the first character here on the tier list is Dane Whitman. So, I think that he's actually a great character. He's not in the movie that much, but I love the way that he's used, and the amount that he's actually in the movie is great. I think that it's a great vessel for basically us as humanity to understand the Eternals. A lot of people complain about how he's just an exposition character, but that's his whole point. Like, it makes sense because obviously he doesn't have any superpowers right now. It was also really cool at the end of the movie when it was like Cersei, Phastos, and Kingo, when they got picked up, and basically Dane Whitman was about to tell Cersei about his family lineage and all that cool stuff. And we were about to get some more information about the Black Knight, but obviously that didn't happen because Cersei got picked up. She got taken to wherever she got taken. But yeah, also in the post-credit scene, we saw him about to pick up the Ebony Blade, and then Mahershala Ali's Blade came in and he basically said, "Are you sure you want to do that, Mr. Whitman?" So there's just a lot of cool small stuff going on with this character. I can't wait to see him in the future of the MCU, and I think he has a lot of great potential. But yeah, the next character is Ikaris. I think Ikaris is easily best of the best. I do think he's one of the best characters in this movie. I personally knew that he was going to turn evil just because I like guessed it from like the first trailer. I was like, I think that Ikaris would turn evil. Initially, I thought Druig would turn evil after learning about some of his character style stuff from the comics, but it was Ikaris, and I liked what they did with him. Now, the real question is, do you guys think Ikaris is actually dead? Let me know in the comments down below. I actually think he's dead because it kind of matches up with the tale that Cersei and Sprite, where they talk about, or Dane Whitman talks about how Ikaris flew too close to the sun, blah, 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 and then Cersei says that's a story that Sprite made up. And so I think that's just symbolism, and it's kind of coming to fruition. So I do think that Ikaris is dead. I think Richard Madden is done in the MCU. I would love to see him come back, but it kind of just makes sense. Richard Madden is such a big actor, and maybe he doesn't want to stay in the MCU for that long. But yeah, the next character is Makkari. I actually think Makkari is great as well. I would put her in best of the best if she had some more development. I think Makkari is great. I mean, her fights were some of the best in the movie, in my opinion. Her one-on-one fight with Ikaris at the end was absolutely phenomenal, and I've been gushing about her. I even gushed about her all in my spoiler review. I love Makkari. I just love like the fighting aspects of her, just the way how emotional they made her character without even her being on screen for that long. She was also hilarious, and I just can't get over those speed fights. Like, her fight with Ikaris is just next level. Like, I was so hyped. I was so excited, and the way that they used her speed and her fighting Ikaris, it was just so well done. And a lot of speed stuff is just super boring nowadays. They just do like the same thing over and over. This felt like a new take on a speedster, and I really like what Marvel's done with this character. But yeah, next up is Cersei. I'm sadly gonna have to put Cersei at like bottom of good. I don't even think I think she's borderline good and meh. I don't think she's bad. I don't think she's great, but I think if there's a tier between meh and good, that's where I will put her, just because like Cersei was already developed in the beginning of this movie. Because if you think about it, the entire development for all of the characters in the movie was, do they want to help save humanity? Cersei from the beginning already wanted to help save humanity because she was already living amongst humans, and she already had the connection and all that kind of stuff. So she didn't really have anything to grow into. Not a lot of characters did, but I mean, actually no. I feel like most of the characters had some growing into ideas that they had to do. Cersei didn't have that, so it kind of led to a really lackluster arc. I did like her romance between Ikaris. I wish that there was more of her romance between Dane Whitman, but I guess we'll see that in the future, hopefully. Next up is Ajak. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna put Ajak in meh. She was, I mean, okay, it's not her fault that she died, obviously, but she just wasn't in the movie for that long. They marketed her like she was like the main Eternal, but obviously it was Cersei. She was the main character. Ajak was just super lackluster to me. Even like in flashback moments, her character didn't seem too interesting. I will say the flashback with Druig and how he wanted to help save those people from genocide and all that kind of stuff, that was the best part with Ajak, where Ajak kind of comes to realization what they have to do. Also, like the flashback where Ikaris kills her, that's also a super great scene. But other than that, Ajax is not in this movie that much, and it's not Salma Hayek's fault in my opinion at all. It's just she wasn't given enough time to shine. Next up is Kingo, though. I think Kingo is best of the best, man. I think Kingo is one of the best characters in the movie. Also, the supporting character for Kingo as a supporting character, which is the cameraman dude. I keep forgetting his name, but they were both awesome in this movie. They were like the most comedic relief. And the thing is, people will say that he's not best of the best just because he was in the final battle. What was he really going to do in the final battle? Also, I felt like he had a lot of time to shine in the forest fight. I love Kingo's character, just hilarious. Also, during the recruiting process, this was my favorite recruited member, like the way they recruited him and the whole like Bollywood dance thing. That was so sick to see. And overall, Kingo is just a super interesting character. He's comedic relief. His powers are super sick. And like when he made the energy ball, that was super sick because they didn't tell us about that before. They just showed his guns and stuff like that. But yeah, next up is Druig. I think Druig is great. I would put him at top of great, actually. I don't think he's just great. Basically, Druig is like one of my favorite characters. I don't think he's like the best, but he's one of my favorite characters. I'll say that I think Druig represents humanity the most. I thought Druig would be like the one that turns evil, like I mentioned before, but he didn't. I thought the way that they used Druig was so cool, like how he has to live with the pain of like not being able to stop all of these people from hurting themselves or hurting their own race and stuff like that. Like just the human race, like going against each other. Druig could stop it, but he's not allowed to. And Druig overall is just an absolutely phenomenal character. But moving on, the next character is Thena. I'm gonna have to sadly put Thena at like top of meh. She just was super sidelined. It's Angelina Jolie, come on now. But from what we got of her story, I really liked her. I don't think that she's necessarily like a bad character. She's just super mess, average. Like she wasn't in the movie that much. I loved when she was with, I think the deviant's name is Crow, like the main one. That scene was super sick. It was super like unsettling and weird, and it was just really cool. And when she sliced Crow into like a bunch of different pieces, that was also pretty sick. But overall, like just like the whole mental battle that she was having, I felt like it wasn't represented enough in the movie for us to actually have a good understanding of what the real effects were, other than the one part in the forest where she like almost kills Makkari, injures Phastos and stuff like that. But next up is Sprite. Now, personally, the performance given by the actress was pretty good, but the story for Sprite was just not it. I'm gonna have to put Sprite in bad. I just don't, it wasn't it for me. There was really no arc. It just felt like a character being petty and nothing really came out of it. And it felt like at the end when basically Cersei had enough power to make her a regular human, they just did that out of the kindness of their heart, even though she literally stabbed Cersei. It didn't feel like she was doing it like to like make up for anything. She was doing it to be nice and because they had nothing else to use the power for. So I just don't think Sprite's character was that interesting. The arc wasn't really there. Just a boring character to me. But next up is Phastos. I actually think Phastos is also great, but I'm going to put him just above Makkari. Actually, no, I'll put him above Dane Whitman as well. I actually love the development from Phastos, and in the trailers, Phastos seemed like he was not going to be utilized as much in the movie, but he was just like Dane Whitman in the way that he kind of represented humanity. And he talked about when we were meeting his family, so he talked about how like these are the people that make him see the good in humanity, and then we realized why he said that, because he made stuff for the humans, obviously, and he made the atomic bomb. I think it was Hiroshima during World War II, that bomb that he saw, and he saw what humans did with his inventions. He started crying. The whole breakdown scene, that is also a phenomenal scene, and just his character has so much heart, and I think his character is just super underrated, and I think the character was just super underutilized as well. I also loved him in the final battle against Ikaris, and he was like, now you finally know what it feels. You don't have any idea how good this feels to do this to you. And overall, I just think Phastos was a great character. But finally, we have Gilgamesh. I think Gilgamesh is probably middle of meh. I don't really know what to think of him. I mean, his powers are sick, but he just died too quick. I feel like if we had him for a little bit longer, the character would have felt more, I guess just more connected, I guess. He just died a little too quick for me. The first impression of his character that was really, really good in the beginning of the movie, and like before the Marvel Studios logo, when they were all fighting the Deviants, and Gilgamesh was absolutely wrecking the Deviant, and he just got super hyped up for me. I was like, I can't wait to see more of him. And then we see, obviously, he takes care of Thena after she has like the whole mental thing going on in the forest, and all that cool stuff. But he just didn't really do anything for me after that. He just like took care of Thena. There were good comedic bits inside of the home where they all met up for the first time, like the corn beer, that was pretty funny. But nevertheless, it's just he wasn't that much of a connected character to me. That's why I put him in meh. But yeah, really quickly, I want to go ahead and rank all of these members from my least favorite to my favorite, or from worst to best. So obviously last place is Sprite, then Ajax, then Gilgamesh, then Thena, then Cersei, then Makkari, then Dane Whitman, then Phastos, then Drew, Druig, then Kingo, and then finally Ikaris. I think Kingo is my favorite character, but I'd say the best character in terms of development and arc and stuff like that definitely is Ikaris. Let me know your ranking for every character in the Eternals movie in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.